It's not so easy to really get it, what it is. It doesn't come from thinking and from an idea. It's not a concept. It's a really, to me, it's a state of mind. We call it before thinking, but yeah, something like that. It's hard to explain because it's about your experience. You cannot figure it out. This don't know mind. You need to experience it. When your mind stops, maybe the best way to make it like more understandable is like when we see something is happening and we have to react very fast. We have no time to think, to overthink our reaction. Then we do something, and it usually comes from before thinking, before we figure it out how should we react at this situation. So there are situations like that in our life, but the point of sustaining this don't know mind is this is the point of practice. So then you react and you function in everyday life more from this don't know mind than from thinking, from rational thinking, and it just happens. It's a beautiful thing. It just happens, and there. I can give last example. There was this student. She stayed in Zen center, and she also asked me about don't know mind. It's like a major thing for people to get it. And she said, and finally, I think I got it, what you talk about, this don't know mind. She said she just met, she stayed in Zen center for 2 weeks. She wanted to stay there, relax, and just to get back to herself, let's say. And then she went out, she met her friend, and they were in trouble. They couldn't connect, they couldn't understand each other. They were in a way good friends, they worked together, but somehow they always had some misunderstanding between them. And she said, suddenly I met her after these 2 weeks and everything went very smoothly, and I even hugged her and she hugged me, and we had a very nice time. She said that happened for the first time, and I didn't even know. I cannot say how it happened, why it happened, and what happened actually. It just happened like that. And she said that she said this is for me, for my understanding. It came from don't know mind. Yeah, somebody showed me this book, 3 Pillars of Zen, and what was attracted to me was the experience of enlightenment, because I found that this must be something like freedom from suffering, freedom from fears, freedom from confusion, and I really wanted that. I wanted to be free from all of this. Painful states and experiences, and I was experiencing, like everybody else, a lot of suffering and fears. And so when I read that, my first impression was like, yeah, this is it. This must be it. This is the way to get free of my poor states. Oh yeah, tremendously, I have to say. Really, I was like a different person 40 years ago, because that's my practicing. I practiced for 40 years almost, and yes, I was always very scared and scared of life, of people, of situations, of basically of suffering, maybe that was my biggest fear. I was afraid of suffering. I didn't want to suffer. And it's like I have. It doesn't mean I don't have suffering or I don't have fears or etc. But my relationship to this is totally different. I can bear it, I can live with it, and I can do something about that. So it's not like they're not overwhelming. They're not paralyzing me like they used to. I used to have problem to go into a public transportation because I didn't want people to look at me. Sometimes that was the level of my fear, of my fear of meeting people, of facing reality, I would say. So it changed drastically. So, of course, I always try to inspire people and encourage them to come, to sit, or maybe just do some meditation at home at first if they don't feel comfortable in a group environment. Just to settle down. And first it's like 4 stages. First see your suffering, really be honest with it, not because basic reaction is we try to avoid our suffering, we try to run away from our suffering, and so it requires a lot of courage, of course, to be able to face your suffering so this is like a first step. Then face it. 4 stages. First it. The second stage is almost the same, and then try to deal with it. And this is maybe the most difficult part, because it takes time. It takes time to do something about your suffering. So that means to, for me, the meditation was always the best medicine, and it helped me. And so, of course, I can recommend it with my whole heart and from my experience. So deal with it. That means don't run away from it. Try not to run away from it. Just stay with it and even look more deeply into that. What is it? Where does it come from? What is the reason for my suffering? What is the purpose? There is always a reason. The suffering doesn't come from out of the blue. There's always a reason. So just be with it. Stay with it. Don't run away. Just most important is not to run away, not to cover with something. And then finally, if you really deal with it, then finally you can go beyond it. You can really let go of your suffering. But first, of course, you need to understand what is going on, what creates my suffering. And it's shocking for most people, because what they find out is, I'm doing this. I'm making it. I'm creating my own suffering. It's very hard to admit. There is this very, very common offense. You're just trying to blame others and blame the whole world. But the moment you really can admit and have enough courage to admit it, okay, I make this. I make my own suffering. Then things are changing, and this recognition really shifts something in your heart, and that was I really can say it was maybe the most important moment in my life to meet him. Not because of who he was, that too, but because of the teaching he shared, and I realized this teaching, the methods and the instruction, which I was always missing, some instruction, because in church I come from Catholic family like most Polish people, and you hear the things like be a good person, be loving person, and help others and stuff like that, but nobody says how to do that, how to really be more open, how to find your own goodness. And so I was really extremely happy and relieved because I heard for the first time that there is a way. I heard about the way how to get out of all these troubles we are in and discomfort, etc. So he was very concrete, and his English was even worse than my English, but somehow he gave the message, and he was so truthful. You can trust him, He was this kind of person that you knew that he is really talking from his experience and from his heart, and from his willingness to help this world. That was very powerful, and you could feel it. So this was very important, and it was like a turning point in my life, because I realized this is it. This is from now on, I can do something about my life, I'm not so hopeless as I used to be, just hopeless and vulnerable, I didn't know what to do. Crying doesn't help so much. So that was very helpful, and he would come like every year. We had no school that time. It was like a few people in my city actually, and after his first visit, we start meeting, and we start whatever we could. We sit meditation, and then somebody went to Providence Center, learn chanting, and brought the chanting books, and we started our chanting, and really like step by step, very slowly, we were learning everything about how to practice, and so he would come almost every year. Some years he couldn't because of the government. They didn't give him a visa. It was a communist country at that time. And and what was for me kind of fascinating, that he was not only sharing, it was just a few of us, maybe he realized this is not a big group. I have to share my Dharma with more people. So he asked us to go to Catholic monasteries, where we have a few really like serious places where monks are doing a good training. Some of them you cannot even enter, or in some the women cannot enter. So we would go to meet the monastics, and I would translate, except the place where I couldn't enter because they wouldn't let women to enter in the monastery. And then that was not enough. He wanted us to organize some kind of conference, like ecumenical conference. So I also translated this conference because there was nobody else, or nobody had the courage to do that. It was a big challenge, and I tried to translate and to really be around him as much as possible. It was a great privilege for me, and I was learning a lot. And just to be with him was really, it meant so much to me. And so he was trying. I for a long time I couldn't understand what he was doing. Why is he going to this? And now I see it in this way. He was really trying to share his Dharma with as many people as he could, and the audience he could really meet, because we couldn't organize at that time. We were a small group. We couldn't organize like public talks. And later on we did, and we had like 600 people for the talks and etc. But at that time it was still like everything was really a baby Dharma, Korean Dharma in Poland. So he was doing this until one meeting. I remember he was giving his teaching, and he said, if you meet this famous teaching, if you meet Buddha, kill Buddha. If you meet God, kill God. And then I could feel this energy. Everybody, I didn't know if to translate this or not, because I knew this will be end of our ecumenical interchange, and that was the end of our ecumenical, But okay, it's still, until today, he did something great, because in one monastery they still do meditation. There's one priest who carry on the meditation, and later on priests would come to our center, and sometimes they would come to me and ask me, I don't want any dogma, but please teach me meditation, how to do meditation, and teach me the method, teach me the way, give me the instruction. A few priests came to our place, and they stay. One of them was trying Kongan practice, so they went into this. So his effort was not worth it, and so that was one thing. And also, at the beginning, he had energy. It was great. He was still strong and full of energy, and he was trying to really help us, to help us to establish a meditation place. And he understood this is a very difficult environment for us. We will have a great difficulty to collect money and to really develop this place. And of course, his only wish and his direction was very clear, like more and more people to involve, reach out to as many people as possible. And so he would invite, like I would go with him to some companies, big companies like Kia or Samsung, to meet the Buddhist high directors. So he would invite them to Zen Center, and he would just say straight, this is a Korean temple, and you need to help this temple. It was very straight. So it worked a little bit. They were not very convinced, and later on I realized what they were looking for was they wanted some monastic to be there, because that was their tradition. They couldn't really understand what's going on, all these lay people, women, men, and they don't really know the Korean tradition. So they were not willing so much to help us. Once he stopped, going for these meetings and arranging dinners with this. But he was really not only teaching us, but he would take care of all areas, connected to building a strong Zen center, which was for a long time I didn't understand what was going on, but it was quite amazing. He was very, very aware person and perceptive. He realized immediately this is a strange environment, but on the other side, the enthusiasm and the interest and need and yearning from people is so huge that he was very impressed, and he really wanted to he saw this is a place of great possibilities. So. You know, what I am witnessing, I just witness how much this school is changing, how much is developing, and of course, you know, Zen it evolves as a form and always did. It's a living thing. It cannot be rigid. So even forms are changing, and also, you know, everything is changing. The persons coming to Zen Center have different expectations. They have different needs, and like before, even in I don't know about United States, probably more places, more practicing places you had in United States, but in Poland there were not many. So it was like major place for people to come and to find what they were looking for, usually for same thing, how to find you know, some sense of this human life. And yeah, so as a teacher I have to be very aware and alert, you know, to really follow the needs of people, the expectation also, to not to only communicate with persons coming to Zen Center, but to really be aware of what is going on in the world, how this world is changing, what is really happening. It's you have to. Yeah, this is how I feel. I really have to be very aware of what is happening, not only within Zen Center, but everywhere around. So traveling around, it really helps me because, yeah, traveling makes you more awake, more alert. And we all have this tendency to fall asleep. We love to just, you know, have a break. But yeah, to be able to answer people's expectations and needs and responsibilities, and now it's another responsibility. It just happened, you know, like this being the head of European school. I was not expecting this, but. Yeah, as a Zen student, you just follow the situation, right? You have no choice. This no choice situation is quite, how to say, in a way, it doesn't give you time to think, to make up your mind. Do I want that? Do I like that? And what do I think about that? Can I do it? Can I not do it? There's no time for this. You know, the job is in front, and you have to take it. You have to follow. That's how I was trained, and because of somehow, you know, I feel. Not only teachers, but we all need to carry this teaching and the tradition, and in a way, so we can make it more even more appreciated and more accessible, more understood. It's not easy. And it's never been easy to follow the teaching, and so I feel this is our responsibility, teachers, students, how to actualize this teaching in our times, and how to respond to the needs and expectations of. First of all, as a Zen practitioners, I strongly feel about like providing a very good conditions for people to come and to really have time for themselves, and like shelters, Zen shelters. It's these places we don't need to build churches or temples. It's great actually, because we just need some space where people can come and relax, and it's so important in times like this, because of so much going on, and the speed of life is going like more strong, and uncertainty and all of that. So it's like really necessary, and everybody, people say that, going to Zen center is like taking a good break from everyday life craziness. And so this is the one thing, really provide them good atmosphere even, and all of that. But recently I feel maybe it's about the time to go out, to see what we can do, to find the ways to communicate to a larger family, to all human being family. Can be done in so many ways, not only as an individuals, right? Because we're doing all kinds of jobs, and I know meditation practice does influence people tremendously, and so they transform and they become more awake persons, and they become more loving, and they really have this willingness to do something for the world. And so this practice can really provide us the care for world, not only for each other, but also for the environment, for the air, for ground, for trees, for the nature, and we can really bring some wisdom and compassion to this world. And so individually, doing all kinds of jobs, I know people do that. They already use the wisdom from practice and compassion and care for this world into their own professions, jobs. You can, whatever you do, you can actually do it in a more loving way. Even if you work on the gas station, if you are a loving person and you treat people in a nice way, it has such a strong impact. They feel better immediately, right away. But some people can influence this world more, like something like making a movie, or this kind of. I envy these people because they can have a big audience. If I give a talk, public talk, let's say, maybe I talk to 100 people, and that's fine. But if you make a movie, or you write a book, or you write an article or something, or you have some program in TV or radio or whatever, you can reach millions actually. So yeah, so individually, but also recently, I think, as an organization, we are international organization. This is our strength. This is our really. We should find. I think we should find a way to connect to more people. I don't have an idea how to do that, but I believe, where there is this, where there is willingness, there is a way, and I believe something. Even this conference, people talking, and it's very interesting. We sit around the table, and people have amazing ideas, actually, and the same direction. We all want the same. We all want to save the planet. We all want to really share our wisdom. We all have wisdom, and there is this strong willingness to be useful, to really be useful in this life, in this world, and I believe we find a way. We were always like, our practice, it was always about to provide strong center and to make strong center where people can come and practice, get enlightenment and live their life in a very correct way and helpful way. But I think now, because of madness, the level of madness is rising, so maybe it's about the time to find a way to communicate to more people. Yeah, I think most important.